So yeah, this is your UFC 212 breakdown. This is what Rob off air. What did you say, Rob?
I think the main event here is the best fight this year in MMA.
On paper.
On paper, yeah, of course, yeah. But it's the best fight, you know, on paper.
No, exactly. I'm going to repeat myself.
Yeah,
and
just
say exactly
what you said there a minute ago.
Da. Yeah. Right. So obviously the main one is Aldo Holloway.
Yeah.
But let's
do the main card.
Yeah. Let's look down. You're gonna have to forgive me here. This
terrible. I'll start. There's the.
All just died.
We're gonna do the main card, but we're gonna give you a little bit of a bonus. We're gonna do the main event of the prelim card because it's a cracker. Raphael Assunção versus Marlon Moraes. This is a fight I've been looking forward to since it was announced. Moraes, obviously a WSOF champ coming over to the UFC. Big reputation amongst hardcore MMA fans. Trains with the likes of Frankie Edgar and that camp under Almeida BJJ. Excellent fighter. Raphael Assunção, you know, he's been kind of floating around that 4 to 5 position in the bantamweight division for the past, 3-4 years. He's only fell short to the likes of TJ Dillashaw. And he's looked good against some people. And I think this is a great matchup. Are you looking forward to seeing Marlon Moraes?
They're not. You've been swinging this for a while as well. They're not giving him an easy start, and I
Absolutely
like that.
Not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's coming as a champion. How did they not have a picture of him on the website? By the way, how is he the Shadow Man?
Yeah, the Man of Shadow.
The Man of Shadow.
It's like the UFC do their like promotional things when they come their first time to the UFC. So. It hasn't been there yet, but I agree. Get him a picture.
Get a picture, man.
Just take one from WSOF.
But yeah, Assunção is currently ranked number 3 in the world as well. So it's a strong test, like straight off the bat. But that's, in fairness, you're a champion from another organisation. That should be the thing. What's your path to victory here? What you see?
In ways, they have similar styles as they're both kickers. They're not really great boxers. Like I think Marlon Moraes would have the better hands, definitely, but they use their kicks a lot. Marlon Moraes would probably be the not smaller man, probably the shorter man with the less range. I haven't actually checked. It might be a good idea to check that. But he's probably a more powerful man in my opinion, and his leg kicks are a lot better. There's a problem with, for me, Assunção. The reason why I'm going with Marlon Moraes, and I could be wrong on it because again, Assunção I've picked against him quite a bit, even though he's looked really good. But I think his output is a lot less than Moraes, where Moraes is really good. He reminds me of Frankie Edgar. He does train with Frankie Edgar. It reminds me of that in certain ways where you'll see him, the minute he comes out, he'll be moving similar to Frankie Edgar. He'll be moving the head. He'll be constant movement. Whereas sometimes Assunção can come out and he can be a bit flat-footed. We've seen it in the second TJ Dillashaw fight. The first one he looked really good, even though I scored it to Dillashaw. The second one kind of came back and he looked a bit flat-footed, where Marlon Moraes is always moving. Heavy leg kicks, change of stance constantly. Very, very good fighter. Showed he can go the full 5 rounds, 3 rounds. And I just think he's going to have a little bit more on the output than Assunção. I think Assunção can get stuck in that kind of, you know, he'll throw a couple of leg kicks and he'll set himself, where Moraes will constantly go.
What do you think of the famous octagon jitters? Do you think that is do you think it's real, number one?
Yeah.
And is it something that's going to happen?
I think it's real to an extent. I think it was more real a couple of years ago when the UFC was, you know, still is the number one game in town. But I think a couple of years ago you had guys coming up and, you know, the UFC was this, you know, proper pinnacle and you know, you can't get any better. You shouldn't fight anywhere else because this is it. Where Moraes, he's had some good fights in the WSOF, and he kind of, I'm not sure, you know, contract wise how long they were negotiating, and if it was, you know, the minute he got an offer he went to the UFC. I don't really see it like that. I'm guessing he took his time. Like, he's under some great coaches, under Mark Henry, and he has Frankie Edgar in his corner. So I don't think it's going to get to him. I really don't. But I do think I underestimate Raphael Assunção quite a bit, but I'm still going with Marlon Moraes. But I'm going to go with decision. I think he's going to just outpoint him, but I think he's going to look pretty good. And I think Assunção might look a little bit flat because against guys with high output, TJ Dillashaw in the second fight, he can look a little bit flat. So I'm going to go with Marlon Moraes by decision.
One thing that Moraes will have here as well will be he has that champion mentality.
Yeah, he's been champ for quite a bit.
I don't right, there is, you know, we talk about a good bit about the UFC monopolising and being the number one, and we're sort of saying that gap potentially is closing with the signings of the likes of Bellator, but I think it's fair to say there's a gulf between World Series of Fighting and the UFC. So it is a big step up in that sense, but I still feel a champion's mentality, be it if you're fighting on Bama, Cage Warriors, Clan Wars, Man of War, UFC, WF, whatever it is, if you're the champion of the division, you still have a little bit of swagger and a little bit of confidence. Sure. Just because you vacated that title and you're now fighting on a different canvas and a different shaped cage, I don't think that changes that much.
No.
I have to be honest, I haven't seen that much of Marlon, apart from what you have sort of showed me, and you spoke so highly of him. So I'm looking forward to watching him fight. Yeah. It's a stiff competition fight. Is it straight away a number one contender shot? Like winner I'm
not sure. Maybe for Assunção. I don't know. It might be too early for Marlon Moraes. Maybe he can compete. Like he's 18-4-1. But if you look at his recent record, he hasn't really fought that many good fighters. So it's difficult. I hate when people say, "Oh, he hasn't really fought anyone good, so I'm not going to pick him." I think that's a bad kind of way of picking fighters. He's looked impressive in most of them fights, but you can't really tell how good someone is until they face that competition. But you can't say because he hasn't fought anyone great, he's not a good fighter. He might be just he's fought who was there. Josh Hill, he's a decent fighter, knocked him out with a beautiful head kick, and I love the way he goes low. He does that Brendan talked about it last week. It's the old school look down, kick high. He'll establish those low leg kicks and then he'll kick high. And he done that against Josh Hill. Against Silva, it was a weird one, kind of a knee injury or something, as far as I remember. But yeah, lower competition, but number one contendership, maybe for Assunção if he wins.
I think he's got every finish in the book, really. He's got submissions, he's got finishes, and he can go the distance. So he's all around. And I honestly think that championship mentality is something, like I said, you carry that anyway. So I'm going to go with it as well. I'm going to go with Marlon here in this one, and I reckon he might get it done. A really impressive opening UFC. Again, like I don't think I've ever watched this fight live.
I've watched three repeats, yeah.
So it's...
Well, yeah, I don't even know if I watched it live. WSOF, it's difficult.
I've watched a few where I've got a dodgy stream. God bless the internet. But I'm going to go to finish probably in the second round, and I just think make a big statement coming into the UFC. It's the best way to do it, really.
Yeah, so up next on the card, the first fight on the main card, and it's another cracker. Erick Silva versus Yancy Medeiros.
Silva, I think, has got he was deemed as the big guy, the big talent for a long time, and I always find cardio seems to be, he just seems to, if he's not going his way, not that he quits, but he's a confidence fighter, and I think if the fight starts going against him, he finds it hard to turn it around again. Yeah,
I agree. And I'm just looking at this because maybe unfairly, I'm not sure, but a lot of people call out Erick Silva for the body change he's had since USADA. Yeah. Here's an interesting one, and again, I'm not calling Erick Silva out on this per se. It's just an observation that I had. Look through his record, and the last fight that Erick Silva won outside of Brazil was in 2012. Charlie Brenneman.
Wow. When you look at it that way, that's insane.
That's kind of insane, isn't it? And Erick Silva, he's been one of those guys, as you said. He was kind of looked at as,
well, he's laughing because this is in Brazil, so he's grand.
Yeah, but he was kind of looked at as the next guy. He's the next Brazilian. He kind of had not similarities to Anderson Silva, but he has that kind of swagger. He was knocking people out. Very exciting. Still is very exciting. Look at his last fight. Brilliant performance in Brazil. This one's in Brazil as well. But Yancy Medeiros is a guy who has, I think, most likely a better chin. Erick Silva's chin is definitely questionable. He's been getting hit quite a bit. It mightn't be his chin, it might be just that he leaves himself open because he's very, very wild the way he strikes, which can go, can work towards his style because he has got these crazy knockouts, but it can also play against him because he's got knocked out a couple of times as well. Whereas Yancy Medeiros, if you look at the Trinaldo fight, went to decision, was getting hit quite a bit. You look at even in his wins, like the John McDessie fight, he was getting hit quite a bit, but he was just staying in there. And I think this is going to be a similar fight where it's going to be a battle of the chins. And I just think Yancy Medeiros has a better chin. I think they're similar level in the striking. So I'm going to go with Yancy Medeiros. I'm going to say he wins just by withstanding what Erick Silva has and Erick Silva not being able to take the shots that Yancy Medeiros lands.
I think when Silva arrived first, there was a mystique.
There was a big mystique about him, yeah.
And in a way, that's being washed away. So I think the opponents he fights now aren't coming into it. It's almost... I'm going to use the Ronda Rousey analogy. A lot of people thought Ronda was unbeatable. A lot of people even said she'd fucking beat up Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she goes in, she gets beat, and now she's the worst fighter that's ever been on the planet.
Which is crazy as well.
Yeah, but that whole mystique is gone. And in a way, at a lower promotional sell, it's a bit like that with Erick Silva. I think when he first came in, he was a wrecking ball, and a lot of people seen it. But since then, it's changed quite dramatically.
Yeah.
And well, like what you said, I just think with the fight, if it's not going Silva's way, I honestly think this will fall into Yancy Medeiros' hands. And if he keeps pushing, and if he can take, I can imagine it being an onslaught by Silva. And if he can ride that wave and get through that, the fight is going, the whole momentum is going to go with Yancy Medeiros. And I can see, that's how I can see the fight going. I can see Silva starting bright and strong.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then when Medeiros is still standing in front of him, the frustration will come in, the cardio will come in, and that's when Yancy Medeiros will take over the fight. I'm going to go with a decision with Medeiros, and I'll even call it 28-29. And
in Brazil.
The judges, he'll win 2 rounds to 1. But yeah, I just see Erick Silva in a way, like, it's disappointing because I wanted to see him do really well. He has
me
that,
too.
He has that,
I think
look. And,
it was a good point on the mystique, because I do agree, when he came in, he was a bit of a phenom. Like, it was kind of harking back to the Vitor Belfort. He was coming in, the Brazilian guy, wrecking everybody. I think the turning point was probably the Dong Hyun Kim fight, because he came in and he lost to Carlos Prater, where it was a kind of a DQ. Then the John Fitch fight happened, and John Fitch just out-wrestled him, out-grappled him, and everyone was like, yeah, of course John Fitch out-wrestled him. That's what John Fitch does. But then when he got knocked out by Dong Hyun Kim, people were like, oh, okay, he got knocked out, and this can happen. You know, he's not this guy who you don't have to just hold down to beat him. You can knock him out. I think that's where the mystique went. Then he's obviously had a couple of knockout losses as well after that. But it's a great fight. If this stays in the feet, which I think it will, you know, fight of the night contender, definitely.
Nice. Some names here, all right. Your next bout was Paulo, and this is his nickname, really, isn't it? That the UFC.com have on it as the Borrachinha. Oluwale Bamgbose, the Holy War Angel, let's call him easier. This is your knockout king here, really. The name they're calling him on Paulo Henry Costa is a lot easier. Thank you very much to Topology. But yeah, all victories basically by way of knockout, KO, TKO, or injuring motherfuckers. So realistically, you're going to look at the Brazilian fighter fighting in Brazil. He's had one performance already where he finished Gareth McLean maybe in the first round. So again, you know, this is something they're pushing by putting them on the main card. So you're expecting the highlight reel knockout here, I feel.
Yeah, like, I was kind of a bit of a fan of Bamgbose, however you say his name. And he's had a couple of, you know, ropey performances in recent. To be honest, I haven't seen much of Borrachinha.
Costa. Let's just go with Costa. Henry Costa.
Yeah, I have Paulo down here. Yeah. Haven't seen much of him.
Paulo Henry Costa.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of him, to be honest. I've seen he was a jungle fight champion. There's been some really good guys coming from that promotion in Brazil. To be honest, this is a bit of a shot in the dark because I haven't seen much of him. But I'm going to go with your strategy.
The Mike Perry strategy.
The guy who's coming in, they're putting him in Brazil, they're putting him on the main card against a guy who I honestly think could be a decent fighter in the future, and I was a bit of a fan of him. And apologies for the lack of breakdown in this one, but I don't really know.
Well, in fairness, don't get me wrong, we love MMA. But I'm not sitting at home watching Jungle. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have a stream for it. Give me an illegal stream. I'll watch everything on an illegal stream. But this is Costa he finishes all his fights he finishes them. That's what he does. Like his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights have all been first round finishes. So I'd imagine the UFC in a way are expecting highlights here. In a way, they've put him in against another guy who's willing to stand and fight. Bamgbose he's going to do it as well. So this could be, in a way, a knockout either way. You could be looking at it, but I'm going to go with the Brazilian hometown favourite here.
There's a big kind of, if you look at Bamgbose, he hasn't fought in quite a bit, and even then, like he was quite inactive. Like he had a fight August 8, 2015, and February 24th, 2016, and April, and since April 2016 he hasn't fought. So that's always kind of worrying, and you know, obviously that was a decision, but he did have a knockout loss to Uriah Hall as well. But yeah, to be honest, don't know too much about Paulo, but I'm gonna go with him because his debut was impressive against Garrett McLennan, who's a tough enough guy. And they're putting him on the main card. They're probably looking at big things from him. Let's go with him.
Yeah, he's in a way
knockout.
He's Erick Silva.
Yeah.
2.0. Your next fight of the evening sees the phenomenon. What did Goldie call him? The phenomenon, didn't he?
Oh yeah, the phenomenon. Yeah.
Yeah, the phenomenon. We've got Vitor Belfort taking on Nate Marquardt.
Nate the Great.
I don't know about this fight, Rob.
You don't know about it?
No, just...
We spoke about this fight when it was announced, and we didn't say it was a great fight, but
it's the Legends League fight.
What we said was it makes sense for both their careers, where they're coming from. Obviously, Vitor's coming off that loss to Kelvin Gastelum, no contest. And Marquardt, again, a lot of people thought he should have been done a couple of fights ago. Came back to the UFC, got a couple of wins over guys who, you know, the CB Holloway one was a good win, I thought. But then, you know, Sam Alvey, the knockout to Thiago Santos, Kevin Gastelum as well, stopped him. So a lot of people thought he should have been done. Vitor coming to the end of that as well, the non-TRT Vitor. But I think the difference here, I think the reason why I think you're going to go with Vitor as well is just, maybe or maybe not, it's just in the most recent fights, you look at the competition, you look at what Vitor could do in his recent fights. You know, Vitor has always been, I think, the better fighter. In
fairness, when you look at, even let's go back 5 opponents, you've got Chris Weidman.
Yeah.
You've got Dan Henderson.
A win over Dan Henderson.
You got Souza. You got Gegard Mousasi, and you got Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah.
That is high level opponents. The guys that we've mentioned there, maybe Dan Henderson not, right?
We also
our top 5.
Dan Henderson's time was
at the time,
absolutely.
But now we're talking relevance now. Top 5 guys.
Yeah.
Like the Weidman fight was a title fight. They're all co-main events or main events.
Yeah.
So he has fought the harder guy, but he's also got finished by the harder guy.
He's lost to every single one of them. But there's one thing I pick out from Vitor.
Except Dan Henderson.
Yeah, except for Dan Henderson. The one thing I pick out from Vitor though is a problem that Marquardt has had is against the guys who are more powerful and have a lot more speed. And I still think Vitor, even at his age,
he's fast.
He's fast. He still has that burst in him. Maybe it doesn't last the full first round. Maybe he only has like maybe a minute of that burst where he can come forward. But I do think that that's all it's going to take if he can land on
I'd imagine, you see, the weird thing about this is going to be a going away party, I think, for Vitor. He called for Mickey Gall originally. But no, I think this is a going away party. That in itself is going to put a lot of pressure on. You see some fighters that rise to that and perform better because of that. Like, as much as I'm saying it, like, Marquardt has strength and power, finishing power.
That Tandem McCrory finish was
so if
vicious,
he lands, if Marquardt lands, that's night, and it sort of goes both ways for both fighters. In a way, it is. When this fight was made, we said it. It is a good fight for both fighters. I just don't know about it.
Yeah.
It's like the Legends thing I always talk about, that you should be fighting someone in the same wheelhouse as you. Yeah. Imagine it was one by wheelhouse. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Vitor to get the nod. He's on home soil. He'll do the blitz. He'll have that good time in him. He'll have a good minute to a minute and a half of burst. It'll be interesting to see if he goes tactically. He's going to have to close the distance because I imagine Marquardt will want to keep it on the outside to avail of some of his kicks and his strikes. But yeah, I'm going to go with Vitor here. And hopefully that's it on the two of them.
Yeah, I do think so. Vitor has a great career. Nate Marquardt has a really good career as well.
What a way to go out for both
in
Marquardt
Brazil
as well. Look, we're saying it's a way to finish, but like finishing Vitor as a legend of the sport. It's a great fight to go out on for Nate the Great as well.
And I do think I'm going to go with Vitor Belfort as well. I think his boxing is better. His overall striking game is better. Nate Marquardt has power. You've seen that in a lot of his fights. He's knocked out Maya. He has a lot of power, but I just think he's always had a problem with his strike and defense as well. And Vitor Belfort finds them ways to get in between, like that blitz coming forward. I've seen a pretty cool video, an old video of Vitor Belfort explaining the Vitor blitz from like 1996 or something. It was mad. Just came to my head there. But I'm going to go with Vitor Belfort to win. First round knockout I'm going to go with. I think if any of them's going to win, I don't think it's going to go to decision. I think if Nate Marquardt is going to win, he's going to land on something as well. But Vitor Belfort, I'm going to go first round knockout.
Yeah. I agree. That's first round knockout for me as well, picking on it. But I don't know. It's a weird fight in a way, but it's the right fight at the same time. In
your co-main event of the evening, you have Cláudia Gadelha versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz.
Very nice, Robert.
Yeah.
Very nice.
What do you think?
I think this is both women have fought Joanna.
It's kind of the for me it's the Gustafsson versus Daniel Cormier fight when John Jones was on top. The equivalent.
You see, in a way, I think the better winner. See, it's hard to even say the better winner because Gadelha, you could say she's been in there. She shared 10 rounds now with Joanna. So 11 and 12. She's got a she's felt what she's needed to do. She's had successful rounds against Joanna. So was Karolina though. Karolina, I'd nearly say it was probably the most competitive fight. Maybe Joanna, maybe
the Karolina fight.
Yeah. She landed some shots.
I do think the forced Gadelha fight was probably the most competitive because it was the closest.
Yeah. But like we said, this is the who's going to fight Joanna next competition. It's a good fight, and you're going to have, in a way, it's a very similar fight to Cláudia Joanna, because Karolina is going to be the stand-up striker, and Gadelha is going to want to get her down. In a way, I don't think she wants to stand with her. So, in so many ways, Cláudia's got to approach the fight the same way she approached Joanna. And it'd be interesting in a way because you'll see a lot more of Karolina's takedown defense, I'd imagine, in this one. How good is it? How strong is it? Her only defeat in MMA is to Joanna champion. It's I like both fighters. Both of them are really good. I like both of their styles. They're different ends of the spectrum to one another. I just would like to see Karolina Joanna again, just for that Polish hate train. Jeez, that's a bad pun, actually. No, Christ.
Jesus, yeah.
Fuck. But that was unintentional.
I'm sure that was completely unintentional.
That was a Freudian slip there. Yeah. But yeah, Carla, for me, and this, in a way, we always say you can't just go that simple with it. But for me, it's how Karolina stops the Gadelha takedown. That's, for me, is going to define this fight. If she can stop it, what will Cláudia's plan B be? If she can't stop it, what's Karolina going to be like off her back?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think looking back at the Joanna fights, Karolina is, you wouldn't say she is the best striker, but she's
technical.
She's technical, but she's like consistent. She stays in there, and the later it goes, she'll be able to stay in there and land shots. The later it goes, her cardio is always going to be there,
and she makes Cláudia work.
That's the big thing.
We've seen the gas tank go down.
Yeah,
with Cláudia, but that was over 5 rounds. Remember, there's only a 3-round fight.
That's the interesting thing, because you had the Cláudia fight against Joanna where it was going to reverse. Gadelha had some really good success at the beginning of the fight with her striking, because her striking's pretty good.
No, it is, yeah.
It's pretty good. It's just when she got tired, she's not a natural striker. So when she gets tired, it's the way I think Brendan Dorman explained it in one of his videos was, it was in the actually Conor McGregor versus Mayweather video. He made one, and he basically said, like, if you're not a boxer and you try to box, you're going to get more tired because you're not used to doing it. And you can kind of explain it in everything. If you go swimming tomorrow, For the first time in years, you're going to get tired really quickly. If you swim for 10 days, you're going to be a lot better. It just makes sense. With Gadelha, she's been grappling for a long, long time. When she grapples, she can grapple for a long time and she's not going to get that tired. When she strikes, it's different because she might be a good striker, but she's not as used to striking. Whereas Karolina, I'm not sure what her striking background is completely, but she seems to at least be loose. And when she strikes, she can stay in there.
Muay Thai background as well.
Muay Thai background, I'm guessing, yeah. So that's the difference. So in the Gadelha fight against Joanna, she was striking really, really well. She was landing some good shots, but once she got tired, you could see her hands dropping and all that. The difference with the Karolina fight, Karolina stayed in there. She was getting outstruck because Joanna's a much better striker, but she stayed in there and she could actually land near the end of the fight. So it kind of, for me, it's the energy levels in this fight. If Gadelha can stay, above say 50% or whatever in the fight, I think she wins the fight. I think it's her fight to win. But I think if she gasses, Karolina can come on. But I think it's going to be, I think under 3 rounds, I do think Gadelha has it.
The thing for me, that's the big thing, is this is a 3-round fight. If this was a 5-round fight, it can go a different way. But for me, I always in a way say you can't break it down that way. It's not that simple.
No.
But I honestly think it's if Karolina can stop the takedown, what can Cláudia do on the feet with Karolina? I do give the edge on striking to Karolina tenfold for me on the feet.
I do
watch Gadelha knock her out. But
I think with a full gas tank, Gadelha can definitely compete on the feet. I think she is more powerful. I think she's quicker. I think Karolina can, again, similar to what I said about Assunção, she can be a little bit lackadaisy and she can get caught with shots. So I do think that.
Who are you picking?
I'm picking Gadelha, and I'm picking Gadelha by decision. And I think it's going to be slightly dominant. I really do. I think it's going to be slightly dominant. Maybe you'll have a third round where Karolina can kind of come back and maybe win a round back, but I think it's going to be dominant for the first 2 rounds at least.
I'm going to go with Karolina on this one. I'm going to get her to pick her off, time her with her takedowns, punish her every time she goes, looks for the takedown, punish her, use her technical. The one thing Karolina does is stays in the pocket and lands the shot. So if Gadelha lands the 1 or 2, she'll stay there, absorb them and land the shot, and I think she'll hurt Gadelha doing that. I think she'll get the decision, but she'll have the brighter spells in it. I think it could be a split 29-28 on judges' scorecards. 1 giving it to Gadelha, 2 giving it to Karolina. I think it's a great fight, and it's a great fight for women's MMA as well. And the weird thing about it is, if they get the title shot against Joanna and they lose again, it's such a weird situation for both fighters. What do you do next? And
it'd be very interesting to see how Karolina does trying to get off her back, because conventional wisdom will say that Gadelha will get a takedown. And once she gets that takedown, what will happen there? That's interesting. And also interesting one, I'm not sure exactly when it was, but I know Gadelha left Novo União. And she opened up her own gym, I think, in last year at some point. So it'll be interesting to see how she's getting on there as well.
Cracker of a fight. Main event time. 2 best featherweights in the world. Minus somebody. You're reigning, defending champion José Aldo takes on the interim champion Max Holloway. This fight is one fight that for a long time, I remember when I first seen Max Holloway, I thought this kid is a superstar. And I remember when watching him going, this is the guy who's going to really threaten José Aldo. When Holloway was scheduled to fight McGregor, it was such a fuck's sake moment for me, because it was Holloway, a guy I like watching against.
You didn't want to see one get pushed down the rung.
Exactly. Conor went the distance with Holloway, got the decision, and since then Max Holloway has been on an absolute tear, making his way all the way up and getting the interim title. 10 fight win streak currently. Since getting beat by Conor McGregor against José Aldo. Many people are saying he's not the real champion because McGregor was vacated, let's say it that way, was stripped basically of his title. So since the Conor fight, he went and put on an incredible performance against Frankie Edgar. So a lot of people who said he's done, he's finished, he's whatever against Conor, no, he showed against Frankie Edgar that he is an absolute superstar. This for me, I sort of fell into that. Aldo's not as, I fell for that when Conor put him out, And then it was reinforced just how good. And what reinforces just how good that victory over Frankie Edgar was is watch Frankie Edgar Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah.
That's how good Jose Aldo is with what he done to Frankie
That's
Edgar.
a great point, because a lot of people don't really look at that. Like, even me, sometimes you don't put it in perspective of who the guys are these fighters are fighting. Because Frankie Edgar, again, another guy who just went out there against a guy who I think you, especially me, I still think he's the future of that division. I still think he's the future of that division. I think he needs to work on some things. I picked against him, but he went out there and he mauled him. He absolutely mauled him. And Jose Aldo looked phenomenal in that fight. He looked absolutely... Like, I think it's hard to say someone fought a perfect fight, but I think Jose Aldo against Frankie Edgar in that fight, perfect fight.
It was a great fight. When you then look at what Holloway has done, for me, one of the biggest standout of what Holloway done, and for me, his standout performance in the UFC, there's probably two, but number one was what he done to Cub Swanson.
Yeah.
So in the same category of what Jose done to Frankie, look what Max Holloway done to Cub Swanson. I mean, he beat the brakes off Cub Swanson. And now if you look at Cub's on what, a 4-fight win streak?
Yeah,
So Cub is pushing for contendership as well now. And then, you know, he in that, the other notable was the finish of Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, brilliant finish against a guy who has shown to be a great striker. So that's kind of a good prep for this fight, because Jose Aldo is a great striker. And I think what's interesting about this one is I don't think anybody's going to be looking for takedowns. I think it might be wise for somebody to look for takedowns, and especially maybe even Aldo to put off Max Holloway's striking, because Max Holloway, when you let him get loose, he's very, very difficult to beat. And even when Conor fought Max Holloway, you could see he was looking for the takedowns, and of course he did hurt himself. He did. It was the ACL, wasn't it, that he hurt?
Yeah.
But you could see it put off Max's striking quite a bit. Jose Aldo has probably the best takedown defense in the game. So Max Holloway shooting for takedowns might be difficult because Aldo's just too difficult to take down. But I think the most logical thing, or the most likely thing, is these two guys are just going to strike.
The big thing as well, I've heard a lot of people say the reach and the size of Max Holloway, but when you look at it officially, the reach is Jose Aldo actually has a bigger reach than Max Holloway.
Max Holloway, just 71 inches and height, and Aldo is 67 inches in height, but he still has an inch reach. And I was actually surprised by that when I looked at it this morning.
He must have been carrying like slabs of bricks.
Yeah.
But with the fight, you can the reason why I said the Cub Swanson fight and the Frankie Edgar, that just wasn't me looking back at their past history. I think they were two fights that stand out for both fighters. Number one, the Frankie Edgar is because everyone was doubting Jose, saying, he's done, he's this. And a lot of people, like McGregor's, I honestly think the McGregor fight, the Jose, we talked about it, we were in earlier on today, Rob, we were sort of saying, in a way we were robbed of the fight. I honestly think that what Conor done, like the big world tour and everything that went with that fight, I think Jose was beaten before he was in there, mentally.
In a way.
And in a way, I now think that Jose was like, no, fuck you, I have to show what I'm made of. And he done that. That was such a standout performance against Frankie Edgar. Everything he done, you said it to it, it was a perfect fight. At the time, I remember going, was it a perfect fight?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And I've rewatched back since, and a stunning performance. And then you look at Max Holloway against Cub Swanson. Like, everything Max Holloway done in that fight. And like, Cub Swanson was someone who was scouted to be a very hard test for Jose Aldo. And Max Holloway absolutely wiped the floor with Holloway. Also, hugely successful against Pettis. So, the styles are there. We know a lot about fighters here, but who is going to put their plan? And I think the big thing is who's going to be leading the dance in this fight. Yeah. That's the big thing. In a way, Aldo rushed McGregor.
Yeah.
Came out wild and got caught against the counter striker. Holloway, for me, can both lead the dance, but he can also counter strike. So that's where it can fall into Holloway. He has both them things. But I honestly think center of the octagon is going to be a really important thing in this fight. Movement, both fighters have fantastic movement. I don't think it's going to be a thing as he has better movement or he has better thing. I honestly think it's who can implement their stance, their take on the fight early and go from that. I think this potentially could be an absolute 5-round war.
Yeah, it could be. And one thing that you did bring up was Aldo rushing McGregor. And a lot of people look at Aldo as this really aggressive, forward-moving striker who doesn't stay on the defensive, and he's actually not. He's more of a defensive fighter than anything. If you watch most of Jose Aldo's fights, he's a bit of a counter striker, and he has excellent defense. He doesn't get hit an awful lot. You look back at the Chad Mendes fights, he got hit. But if you look at the performances where he looked best was the Frankie Edgar one, where he was counter striking. That's his game. That's probably his best game. Counter striking, leg kicks. That's probably his best game.
One big thing I'm going to say, and this for me is if it goes to the later rounds, I bring it back to the Mark Hominick fight.
Yeah.
Jose controlled that fight, got into the later rounds, slowed down a little bit. And Hominick could have finished that fight.
Yeah.
Could have finished. It was very close to finishing the fight.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that if Holloway, as much as Holloway could get this done in one, he could get it. You know what I mean? Holloway has so many ways of winning a mixed martial arts fight. He's I'm a huge Max Holloway fan. And I'm a huge Jose Aldo fan as well. And I just think that if the fight goes at a high pace, Holloway wants that. Holloway wants a high threshold, intense fight. I don't think Aldo will maintain that level of crispness in defending himself and aim to avoid. Holloway will throw a lot of feints, a lot of kicks as well. He'll create the angles. And Holloway, if he's going to get it done, I think he could finish Aldo in the 5th round.
Finish late. Very nice. Yeah, man, it's
and I was only talking to you today saying I have a funny feeling Holloway or Aldo could win this fight.
You've switched
but
already?
It was more. Yeah, it was only more when I'm looking at it and thinking about the fight and going into depth and doing more study today and looking back at the fights that I was looking at. Now, fair enough, the Hominick fight that was 2011. Yeah. But I still think that I honestly think if Holloway can stay in there and keep a high the big thing is high tempo and not let, in a way, keep coming forward, but keeping pressure on Aldo. Keeping as much as you're saying Aldo's a counter striker, just keep a high intensity that he doesn't have a moment's rest. Keep it going. Because I think if Aldo controls the fight, Aldo could win this 50-45. But I just think Holloway's big chance is in the latter rounds. I'm going to go Holloway 5th round finish.
Yeah. I think, people are going to go back to the leg kicks of Jose Aldo. And a lot of people, when you say, Jose Aldo's leg kicks, especially when he was fighting Conor, they're, leg kicks. I'm sure it's definitely a big thing, but I do think one thing you brought up was Max Holloway's angles. If Max Holloway is on, the angles that he cuts, he won't be there for the leg kicks. If he's on and he's on his game, Jose Aldo, of course, can counter that. And, if Jose Aldo can land one or two of them leg kicks, that can completely change Max Holloway's game because those leg kicks are devastating. But I think with Max Holloway, the angles he cuts, his hands, he has good kicks as well. And he's not going to be in that game where Aldo can counter strike and get out, because with Frankie Edgar, there's still a reach disadvantage, but Frankie Edgar is a much smaller man, and the leg reach of Holloway would probably even be bigger than Jose Aldo if you actually think about it. So I'm gonna go with Max Holloway as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going with Max Holloway.
Why, what? The decision? What question's going?
I'm going to go with decision. I think it's going to be a decision. I think it's going to be a decision. I think it's going to be where Jose Aldo might look really, really lively at the start, and it'll be similar where Max Holloway starts to find his range, starts to land. I think he's going to use his kicks pretty well. I think he's going to cut angles. I think he's going to use his jab pretty well. I don't know. It's just it's an amazing fight. Do you ever get those fights? I don't know if you're a combat sports fan, an MMA fan, boxing fan. There's those fights where the morning of you're just giddy, you're giddy, and you can't sleep the night before because what's going to happen? I can't wait for this. Just happen. It's one of them fights.
Question for you.
Yeah.
The winner, doesn't matter who it is, are they the legitimate featherweight champion?
Yeah, of course they are.
Do you think? Yeah. That argument has to go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he hasn't.
But is it not the same with DC? He's not the champion unless he beats John Jones.
No, I think DC is the champion. John Jones hasn't defended his belt. He couldn't defend his belt because he forfeited it. And McGregor never defended his featherweight belt. It's been how long?
Yeah. Long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, absolutely. Legitimate champion. What a fight.
Goes there, yeah, what a fight. Goes down Saturday night in Brazil. So is it going to be normal time? By the way, that was the 12th of December 2015 was when Conor won the featherweight title.
Comment below with your picks as well for the main card and prelims.
Yeah.
We might throw our prelim picks up or something in text form.
Is the winner of this the legitimate champion, or do they have to solidify it by beating Conor McGregor? By the way, I want to see Max Holloway, Conor McGregor part 2 anyway.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Even Max go up to 55 because...
Yeah, well, I can see, and as well, Jose has talked about that as well.